Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's system admin training. We will be covering features and system defaults of the WeSuite proposal document editor. My name is Brandon Vieira, and joining me today is Stephen Nasty, who will be instructing us through. After this webinar, you'll be able to configure a default proposal and user selectable options, create a default page and pricing proposal template, and understand the features of the document editor. As always, we want you to get the most out of your time today, so if you have questions at any time throughout the webinar, don't be shy. Just type them right into the chat, even if it's because we've gone too fast and you want to see or hear something again. We have a lot to get through, so let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. And hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. So as Brandon had mentioned, today's webinar is going to be covering our proposal document editor. So if you ever heard the term new document editor, WeSuite document editor, uh, those terms are pretty much synonymous to what I'm going to be showing you today. Uh, with WeSuite and WeEstimate, We Opportunity Quote Anywhere, all of our products, we have two template types that we support. Crystal, which was one of our legacy versions, which a lot of our clients still use today, and this proposal new doc editor. So really what I'm going to be showing you today is kind of a mix of a couple different things. First, I'm going to be showing you where to go for kind of set some system-wide defaults. Secondly, to go ahead and create some proposal templates and also just get familiarized with the proposal editor itself. So really what I wanted to do was to get started, I wanted to show tools and then program options, which I have open already. And then on the left-hand side, we're going to be scrolling about halfway down, and we're going to be looking for something called document items. Now, this is going to be different for every client. So if you don't have nearly as much as we do here, don't be alarmed. This is our sales demo environment, so we would just have a lot here just to showcase a lot of different things. So I'll go ahead and just minimize these tabs here so you can see this a little bit better. So document items, what the purpose of this screen is this gives you a full breakdown of your proposal document, your main proposal, as well as any of your contracts that you're utilizing. So if you're using the contracts module, all the contracts that WeSuite creates for you will be listed here. Now, the purpose of this screen is to really show you what you have enabled, disabled, or hidden at a system-wide level. The importance for this is we have kind of our templates that are designed per user. So we have, user templates, which we'll go into to kind of to see what checkboxes are by default on. But if you want to have just a kind of a blanket wide, system wide default to say in our system, these items are checked off, the user can then go in and, manipulate them as they see fit. But as a default, these are what we would like you to use. And these is kind of your general guideline. Surely first and foremost, you would go ahead and just select any of these template types here. And by clicking on any of them, you'll bring up a couple different things. On the right-hand side, you'll see at a baseline, just your main display. So you'll see, things like show equipment, sort, like you do by manufacturer, part number, sort by, descending or ascending, your labor, defaults, subcontractor, charge items, RMR, freight warranty, and it kind of goes on here. Below, these are kind of your default values. So at the top, think of these as your pages, but below you'll be able to set, do you want them to be hidden? So, you can turn them on by default. So this default value column means that this page is enabled. This hidden column here means that you can enable it but hide it. And lastly, there's this enabled checkbox, which just hides the checkbox altogether. I would say enabled really necessarily isn't touched too much, just because this is your document. These are most likely configured the way that you want them to look. But let's say if there's ever a situation where your document is older, a couple of years old, and before you make any kind of sweeping changes to your document, you might want to go ahead and disable them. That's what's there for you. The hidden checkbox is a nice little feature that not a lot of people know about. You can by a default check something, So if you're ever in a situation where, as I mentioned before, this is your system-wide default. So this is everything can be turned on, but users will still have the ability to check things in their own way. They might want to do their own custom templates. By doing this, so what you can do is you can check something off to make it a default as enabled, but you can hide it. By doing that, you would then kind of lessen any kind of chance of error from an everyday user to hide something by mistake. A good example of that is some people have dependencies on their document, like a short form or a like a financial summary or something along those lines, where if that's not enabled, or if there's a combination of things that aren't enabled, the document would break or it would look weird. Uh, so something that you can kind of put out there if you'd like is you can turn something on in this screen here, but leave it hidden. Again, totally up to you. In addition to that, we also have all of our contracts. So if you're utilizing the contracts module, you'll have all of your contracts listed out. So you'll have, if necessary or if needed, you'll have, like let's say deposit invoice. You'll have your checkboxes broken out, your, round figures, things along those lines. Uh, this is generally only applies to contracts that have those checkboxes. You might see things such as like, this on contract right here, emergency call list, that is really just a one sheet. There's really no checkboxes that are in play. This is also a nice little area to check to see if a document is for eSign or eOriginal or DocuSign. So just the DS is DocuSign, the EO is eOriginal, and the ES is generally eSign. Configured has configuration set for both, just in the event that you utilize both in the near future. So that's really kind of the behind the curtain side of things. That's really more advanced. But since you guys are admins, I did want to bring that up to you just so you know that you have the control to do that if you want to do it moving forward. So you do have the ability to hide. You can enable things by default. What a lot of our users do that utilize this is they just have a nice blanket. Like these are our 20 checkboxes that are on. Since we don't really have a way to enforce a global uh, default template, people will utilize this. So they'll say, these are our 20 checkboxes. We want to have these all enabled as a start. Then the user can make tweaks to them and move forward. Okay. So from this point forward, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on just the new document editor, show kind of moving to get a little bit more familiarized with the product itself, showing scope of work, cover letter, templates, defaults, all that good stuff. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just open up one of our good old Glenn's Gardens jobs. And we'll go into our document page. So from our proposal window, just a couple things to note. By clicking on Add Quote Package, and this is very basic stuff, but I just like to cover it just to be thorough. You have your template types here. So this is something that, having worked in support for so long, this is something that trips up a lot of people. Uh, this drop-down list right here, this is a list of your full template types within your system. So you might see things here that say default, or you might see things here that say, core 2.0 or new core or something along those lines. Basically, what these means, what this means is that these are just different iterations of your document. If you started with crystal documents and you moved over to the new doc editor, chances are you might have some form of both within this kind of drop down list. These are all controlled in my settings, which I'll show in a little bit. This first one is the name of your quote document. This is internally facing, so the client won't see this. This is just your internal, kind of just naming convention. So you can just call this revision 1 if you want to. The cover page, the second line right here, this is your project title that the customer does see. So the first one is your internal facing. The second one goes out to your customer. And this little drop down right here, this allows you to make a copy of a quote document from a different user, from a different quote package. So if you had sent a different quote package out, maybe a week ago, or yesterday, or earlier, today, you can make a copy of that quote document with all of your checkboxes under quote options. Once that's done, you can go ahead and click on continue. So once that's done, on the left-hand side, you're going to see you have your document quote options or your document tree. So all of these checkboxes right here, these are all that I was showing you earlier under the Program Options tab. So you'll see here that we have on 6.10, we have this little kind of default option at the very top. The default option just fulfills that, kind of just enforces your default checkboxes that you had listed. So if you have anything listed out here, it will list everything out and it'll automatically enable them. So I had gone through just a couple of them prior to this call, selected just a few to just show you what they would look like. If I were to go in here and just unselect any of them, it'll change from default over to custom, which means that I'm no longer following a template. If I click on this dropdown, I'll have a full list of all of my template types that I've created. We'll go over how to do that in a little bit. But if I were to select, let's just pick any of these at random here. I'll just take Johnny's favorite checkboxes. Uh, this will automatically pre-populate all the checkboxes that I had for a custom template. So how do you create a custom template? So super easy. There's going to be a template maintenance button. So this is going to be a common theme of today's call. There's going to be this template maintenance or some kind of variation of that throughout a lot of the tabs we're covering. So if you were to click on that template maintenance button here, this will go ahead and open up your template maintenance tab. So click on this drop down, you'll see we have a list of our full kind of options that we have created in all of our templates. We'll also have the ability to click on this new button. So if we click on new, it will just ask us to give us a name for our quote options template. And we'll just call this Cash 2024. From the dropdown, we'll have the ability to select our document template type. So you'll see here we also have the ability to create templates for contracts as well. So if you're utilizing the contracts module, you can go ahead and select any of these and create a custom template for that as well. Contracts, generally speaking, have less checkboxes. They're more focused on a certain thing. But I've also seen clients of ours that use contracts as their proposal. So they have things that are very in-depth, like a proposal document would. For the sake of this, we'll go ahead and just select our blue template core 2.0 and OK. So once we select our template type and we select our name for our template, really the next step here will just be go ahead and select our document pages and our document items. So we would just go ahead and select what we would like here. So we'll just kind of keep it basic. We'll keep our project description, project budget, terms and conditions, clarifications and assumptions. That. So these are on your left are just your document pages. So these are things like your cover page, cover letter, about us page. If you use clarifications and assumptions, they'll generally be here. But this also might look different. This is more towards our custom sales demo environment, but your system might look a little different. So, if you're not seeing some things here that I'm having, don't worry too much. It's entirely your document is unique. So there might be checkboxes that I don't have either. So on the right-hand side, I'm just going to go ahead and select some of these items here. So we'll just show our equipment. We'll show the full line item. We'll include the header, our sell price. We'll sort by manufacturer. Sending, we'll show our labor, contractor. We'll show our chargeable items, supplier, RMR, test and inspect, freight and warranty, and then we'll show a breakdown or a financial summary. I'll select a couple of those, and we'll save it. Once that's selected and saved, we'll just go ahead and just select our new template type there. And you'll notice once we selected our template, we have our template now selected with all of those checkboxes we had picked out. So that's really the main core checkbox template that we have. There are other templates for like scope of work, cover letter, things along those lines that we offer as well. But what I wanted to do really quickly here, guys, because we're actually fresh off of the workshop and I had about maybe 4 or 5 clients come and ask me this separately. So I wanted to add this to the webinar today. I know it wasn't listed, but I did want to bring this up. So we have a couple different things here. So I'm back within the estimate right now. Sorry for jumping around just a little bit, but I promise it's going to all relate here. Within the estimate, what I had done here was, for those that don't know, is we have a couple different options within our folder types. And when I say options, I quite literally mean an option, and I also mean the ability to exclude from sale. So from the workshop, I actually learned a lot about how our clients work and how our clients operate, and how they kind of use their proposal documents and how they use their jobs to kind of display different options, things like that. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to showcase this feature because this is something that I think is really, really cool that we have to offer. It does require a little bit of document configuration. So if you're following along with me right now and your document doesn't display this properly, it's most likely because the functionality is there, but it's just not formatted. So if this is something down the road that you do want to add to your document, just let me know and I can get you in touch with the document team. So by clicking on all estimate items, we have a kind of this folder header on our right hand side. So I just added 2 folders here to keep this simple. So I have our 2 folders. We have our estimate option. So if we click on this little drop down, we're going to see here that we have one of 3 things we can select. So we have outright sale, we have print on document, and we have exclude from sale. Outright sale, the very first option, all that does is that just includes it on your proposal at a baseline. That's your standard default option. Print on document, what that'll do is you'll see here that I have that selected for our second folder. Print on document will display this we'll change it to a little question mark icon. And what that does is that implies that the folder is now listed as an estimate option. And what's cool about that? So the estimate option, if you have a core proposal, let's say the bulk of our proposal is under this estimate folder here. We have just a couple parts, we have some chargeable items, some RMR as well. But we say, you know what? Hey, as an add-on, we want to offer this service as well. There's 5 parts, and there's some fire inspection to go along with it. It's a little bit more. It's not necessarily a requirement for the quote, but it's a nice little add-on that we offer if you want to take advantage of that feature. If you're ever in a situation like that, you can label this as print on document. What that'll do, and we'll go back to our quote, and sorry for the weird resolution because I'm on a server. If I click on generate quote, we'll just give this a sec to generate here. And we'll go ahead and just skip a lot of this stuff right now because we'll go into that later. We have our core proposal. So we have the main item here, 31,000, and yeah, apologies. I think they're working on this right now, but we have our core investment, and then we have our available options broken out. So this will give you the ability to sell your proposal at a core price of 31,000 or whatever it may be, but also have available options listed out as well. So you can present to the client, hey, this is your main package, but you also have these available options that you can select as add-ons. And you can tweak this however you want. Some of our clients have, they're called available options. Some of our clients have like an initials space where the client can sign off on it. Uh, but what's nice about this is you don't have to go in and create a second job or a second, a copy or something along those lines. With this, if the client comes back to you and says, yes, we'd like to go with it, you can change this over to outright sale. And it'll then include the option within the quote itself. You'll have just one kind of conglomerate of options. But also, the client comes back to you and says, hey, you know what? That option's great, but we're good just with the base package. You can click on this exclude from sale option. It'll change it to a red tint. And what that'll do is that will just take that folder's total out of the total amount on the proposal. So if I were to regenerate this, give this a sec, that estimate options will then be gone. So we'll see here that we just have the investment. And again, I apologize. I don't know what's going on with this little number right here, but that estimate option will be gone. It'll be taken out of the proposal. The client will only see the total in the main folder they had wanted, and the proposal itself will still maintain the integrity of the quote itself. So if you go back, you'll still have the option one listed. You'll still have the total here of 32,000, which includes the option. So you'll still see the kind of the main integrity of the quote itself, but you'll be able to always revisit it back if ever you need to revisit it to say, okay, what wasn't sold to the customer, what wasn't sold to the client. It's listed there.
Hey, Steve, we got two questions whenever you got a minute.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So from Audrey, we've got, if you put in a spot for initials in the options section, how do you send the proposal to the client so they can sign it?
That's a good question. So, uh, typically speaking, what people will do, Audrey, is they will put an anchor next. And what I mean by anchor, spin it like you know it. So our proposal, our documents team has the ability to put something called an anchor on your proposal document. What that means is when it gets sent out for e-sign, whether or not you're using the original or DocuSign, that anchor, what that'll do is that'll basically put in the ability to initial next to an item. So I've seen some of our clients say, here are our three options. We want to have an anchor put right here to say we want to sign off on this, we want to sign off on that, or we want to reject that. So you have that ability. It really kind of just ultimately depends on how you want to display it. I've also seen some of our clients just do that as a way that they PDF it, and it's just like an indicator for a client to manually kind of freehand sign, their initials or put an X next to it or whatever it may be. So it really ultimately depends on if you want to do and the anchor portion to kind of say, yes, I want to sign off on this on kind of on an e-sign platform, or if you would rather say, I just want to have a blank, like a kind of like an underscore next to it to give the client the ability to, if they print it out as a PDF to sign off on it and then scan it and send it back over. So you have the ability and the capability to do either way. And then I saw the other question that came in. Can you show the option? Can that show the option, for example, a monthly or annual upfront cost versus a 36? So that's a great question, Dario. So you would be able to display depending on how you would want it to show on your document, you would be able to show the term total. I believe you can show the term total of two different amounts. So if you want to have two different line items shown there, two different RMR items, you can say I want to have, a monthly to say this costs, $30 a month or $100 a month versus a 36-month total or whatever it may be. It might require some more in-depth document configuration, Dario, but I don't see why it couldn't be done. Okay. Any other
There
questions,
was
guys?
a there was a follow-up from Audrey. She said, I thought I
Okay.
could only do e-sign under the contract tab, not the proposal tab.
So you can do on your contracts, you can do the e-sign, but with your proposal document, it does just require some configuration, but I believe you can. Okay. Awesome, guys. So if you have any more questions, feel free to chime in. More than happy to help and answer them. But yeah, so moving forward with this, I just wanted to show this feature because I think that it's just a very cool feature to have. A lot of our clients were asking me about this during the workshop, so it's a nice little way to have, just that ability to kind of break things out here. So there's really no need to have different uh, jobs for things like this. You can keep it all in-house, all within the same folder, all within the same job, and just kind of label each as either outright sale, print on document, or exclude from sale. Okay. So moving on to the proposal document itself. So we had created our quote documents listed out. What I really wanted to show here is we kind of skimmed past this on our proposal document, but we also have the ability to go ahead and create our custom scopes of work and our cover letter. Similarly to how we were just showing it before, what I was mentioning earlier, template maintenance is kind of a common theme of today's call. So with scope of work, with cover letter, and a couple others up top, we're going to have the ability to create custom templates. So by clicking on template maintenance, you'll have the ability on the template type to select from dropdown. So by default, it'll always take the template that you're tabbed into. So we're tabbed into scope of work. So it'll default to scope. We'll also have the ability to select cover letter, email, and terms and conditions in here as well. If we have a template that we've used or we've created before, we can select it from the dropdown. So I can just select, new scope of work. If you have anything from like an outside source, whether or not it was copy and pasted in, or if you have something from an outside template, you can always control V it, copy and paste it in. You can make changes to that. But let's say, I don't really want this new scope header there. It's a little distracting. Once I make changes, or I copy and paste all my work in, go ahead and click the save button, and then I'll save any kind of changes that I made to my scope of work. Now, outside of that, we also have the ability to customize your scope of work as well. So if you really read what I have here, a lot of this is kind of just gibberish and rambling. But what I wanted to do with this is actually showcase what you can do with the scope of work in New Doc Editor. So, a New Doc Editor or Proposal Editor, whatever you want to call it, has the ability to load in pictures, has the ability to load in charts, has the ability to load in graphs, and it has a significantly higher memory component for like a memory limit than our Crystal proposal. Our Crystal proposal just has, maybe about a couple megs, a couple megabytes, whereas this is, significantly higher. The trade-off is with a new doc editor proposal, sometimes it can generate a little slower, whereas Crystal is a little snappier. But with new doc editor, this gives you the flexibility to add significantly more to your scope of work, to your document, to your cover letter, things along those lines. There's really no restrictions. You also see at the very top, we have the ability to go ahead and make any changes here. So we'll have if you've used Word, which more people have used it than not, a lot of this will look familiar to you. And the reason for that is this was built on Microsoft Word's engine. So you'll see things here like the ability to insert an inline image, the ability to insert a document, do any kind of spacing, underline, kind of text orientation, indents, justifications, things like that. So you can really go as crazy as you want with this. So if you want to freehand this and type it through the actual software itself, you can. Or if you want to copy and paste it in, you have the ability to do so here. And a lot of those features in the back will also be listed at the very top. Similarly to cover letter, the process is very much the same. We have the ability to select our template maintenance. So I had created just my cash cover letter here. Uh, Showed good old Carl Winslow from Family Matters. But you can also include a picture. So if you want to include a picture, you can of a headshot. You also have the ability to support kind of custom icons. So the reason why I did this was just to showcase that I have, the ability for a phone number, a mobile phone number.
Hey Steve, your audio dropped out.
Email template.
Steve?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, but you dropped out in the middle of explaining the icons.
Oh, sorry about that. You guys,
Last
you're
thing I
good
heard
to hear
was
me now?
mobile phone number.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
we
So I'll
can
go
hear you
right
now.
back. Yeah, sorry about that. So going back here, the reason why I had shown this was to show the just different icons that you can support. Different icons, you can include pictures. Hyperlinks are supported. Uh, Custom fonts. So if you want to have a script for your signature, or kind of just the ability to show what you can do with this is why I wanted to kind of go over a lot of this stuff here. But that's the capability of kind of a cover letter template. You can include as much as you want without really much restriction. Kind of going where I was before, the email is something that isn't. Where did you grab those icons? So I actually grabbed those icons just from online. So I just did a Google search for PNG icons. PNG, meaning that there's just kind of like a clear background most of the time. So I just grabbed them from there, and I just included them in, and I just formatted them myself. Unfortunately, there's really no like library that we have to offer for those icons. But yeah, I was able to very easily pull them from Google, copy and paste them in, then to save it that way, and then they worked flawlessly. The email is something that really isn't utilized too much. So email and custom text are kind of the two niche ones that I would say. Email is the ability to, if you're emailing something, sending it out to a customer, you have the ability to include a email template. Dear Mr. Customer, please see our proposal attached. Let me know if you have any questions. Something along those lines. Custom text. Custom text items are generally speaking things that you can add to a proposal where you can like say like we have 4 pages within our proposal, a case study, a cover page image, executive summary, project reference. Generally speaking, what a custom text item is if you have kind of just items that you want to have custom prompts to display, you can create a custom text item to say, if for the item for case studies, if case studies is selected, I would like to include the following information. So custom text items gives you the ability to add like a tertiary uh, customization for your proposal document where you're able to say, I want to include something that isn't necessarily a cover page, isn't necessarily a cover letter or a scope of work. It might be its own page. It might be something that's unique to a particular client, but I want to have a template for it and a unique prompt for it. And you'll see here that when we go back to our proposal document, you'll see that we have a prompt for case studies, uh, cover page images, things like that. So custom text items are for items that don't necessarily fall under a scope of work, cover letter, or maybe something that's kind of something that you already have baseline in your proposal document. These are things that are unique to a client, or they could be very niche, or maybe very something that's unique to your organization. Terms and conditions. So terms and conditions, we have one of two ways you can do this. We have the ability to select your custom and your kind of very own unique terms and conditions. And what we can do for that is we can have a terms and conditions templates that we can include. Or what some of our clients do is they provide WeSuite, provide us with your terms and conditions, and we hard code them into your document. The trade-off to both is with template maintenance. If you ever have a scope of work that you want, or a terms and conditions that you want to make changes to or update, you have to go in there and do it manually. So it's not something that would be done right off the bat. You would have to input your changes freehand or copy paste them in. If you were to go the route of hard coding, if you make any changes to your terms and conditions, you would have to go ahead and submit that to our documents team, and they would make the changes for you. So there's really no right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of, do you want to have the ability to fully control your terms and conditions, or would you rather just get the information from your legal team, your lawyers, whatever they may be, and just submit it to us and we can input it into your document? So it's entirely up to you on how to move forward with that. Something that's also important to note is that if you are going to go with, kind of having full control over your terms and conditions, whenever you make any changes to it, we give you this confirm password prompt. What that generally is it's more of a fail safe for if you leave your computer on and somebody were to try to make changes to your cover letter and your terms and conditions. It makes them kind of just verify your password. So it's just an added security measure. You also have the ability within tools, system configuration, and then group rights to limit who can see, who can make changes to terms and conditions. So what we're going to do is we'll just go ahead and scroll down. I believe it's all the way at the bottom. So we'll have in the other tab, we have the ability to allow, create, and modify terms and conditions templates. So if you are going the route of, I want to basically manage my own stuff, there are my terms and conditions, I don't need to go to the documents team. Something that I would always stress is make sure you have this allow, create, and modify terms and conditions templates only turned on for the users that you trust and the users that would be making the changes themselves. An everyday sales user doesn't need access to create and modify your terms and conditions. That's legal information. It's very delicate. So if you go the route of managing and owning your own stuff, just make sure that you take advantage of this feature here to say who I want to allow, create, and modify. And again, this is a group right. So you would just go ahead and again, system config tools, system configuration, groups, select your group, scroll all the way down to the other tab, and then you would go ahead and unselect this or select it for whichever group you want to control or have no control over your terms and conditions. Once all of that's done, the important thing to note is that you just want to go ahead and click on Update Document. So if you're ever making any changes to scope of work, cover letter, terms and conditions, whatever it may be, you always want to click on Update Document. Uh, so we didn't make any changes to that. That's okay. Scope of work, cover letter, we're all good to go. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and click on the yellow Generate Quote button. Once that's generated, uh, we'll now see kind of the full fruits of our labor. So we have our cover page, cover letter, with all of our pictures and hyperlinks and all that stuff. Also note that the hyperlinks do work. So if you make this, I'm clicking on this right now, but you can't really see it. It's opening up Outlook. So if you have the ability to put a hyperlink in there, this will redirect our About Us page, product description, our scope of work, with all of our photos and everything like that carried over, our investment summary, and we migrated our optional folder to our main folder. So we have it just display in one giant piece here. Clarifications and assumptions, which are basically just our, include, exclude, which is another nice little feature that we have to offer. And then also we have the ability to say if you're including certain things, let's list out what that means. So you can say I have for, networking and cabling, it's included. So if that's included, list out this little bullet point here. And then at the bottom, we just have our terms and conditions, and then some wrap up. So we have our signs for both our for us as well as our customer, with the name, the title, the date. So this Audrey to this is kind of what most people will have is they'll have just our kind of initials, kind of an initial equivalent to this. I'll double check on the e-sign piece for you. I might have misspoke, but I'll double check for you just to make sure. But at a baseline, what most of our team will do is they'll have a kind of an underscore kind of just to mimic this. Okay, and that is our document editor. Just some little kind of nuggets in between. We have the ability to export and save as Word. We have the ability to save as a PDF. We also have the ability, if you don't want to just manually scroll, you can click on this previous and next. If your eyes are not the best, like mine, you can go ahead and make it bigger, zoom in, zoom out, pick a percentage if you want to. Um, Also, the ability to save as a save as to Word. These are controlled with approvals. So if you are a company that utilizes approvals, you can limit and restrict what can go out, what a sales user can export, as a Word document or as a PDF or even print it by limiting that within approvals. Yeah, everybody, that's kind of the breakthrough and the breakdown of our new proposal editor. Everything that I'm showing you today is also fully customizable. The hard part with documents is that no two clients do it the same. Everybody's proposal is different. Uh, that's kind of a good baseline of what our document has to offer. Now there is so much more, and we have a full documents team. So that if you are kind of interested in anything that I've shown today, or if anything that I had shown today kind of jogs the brain a little bit and says, oh, you know what, I wonder if it could do this or if it could do that, or if there's any kind of tweaks I can make to my document, you feel free to let me know. And I can, if I don't know the answer to that, I can always go ahead and reference you over to your account manager, or I can send you over to a document specialist who can answer, a lot of these more kind of can this happen or can we do this questions a lot more seamlessly. Hey, everybody, any other questions for me before we wrap up a little early today? All right, those are all set. Brandon, you want to wrap this up and let everybody know what's coming down the pipeline here?
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Hopefully you're comfortable with what we reviewed. If you need to refer to this webinar again, it will be posted on our website by this time tomorrow, and that's at wesuite.com/webinars, or you can find it under the training webinars page, which is under the education menu. So next Tuesday on February 20th, we have our sales user webinar on using Quote Anywhere and the site survey to close more deals. And the next month's webinar for administrators is on March 12th and will be a look into using WeEstimate's part management and real-time pricing integration. Take care and have a great day, everyone.
Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your day.